everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I want to be the first to welcome you in and thank you so much for joining us today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Vanessa Blair Ferris, and I have started the Yogi Blair YouTube channel as a way to share my passion for wellness and yoga with all of you. I am a certified yoga instructor, and I started my career in yoga about a year ago. And I realized that I didn't just love teaching classes. I loved everything about wellness and living a yogic lifestyle in the best way that I can. And of course, I'm not perfect, but for me, yoga brought me to this point where I wanted to just do everything that I could to not run myself down, to not beat myself up, to not live a life of just not liking who I was anymore. I wanted to live every day to the fullest, love myself for who I was, and in turn spread that joy to everybody else that I could. And so I started, first I started my channel with yoga videos because I live in a state that is not my home state. So I wanted to kind of share with everybody back home what I was doing, how I was teaching, and it grew from there. And I wanted to talk about other things that made me feel well. I wanted to share my knowledge of skincare, which I think is such a great way to improve your wellness, is just taking care of your skin, taking time for yourself and making it an enjoyable experience. I love makeup, and I started doing videos for that. And then I started just adding more videos about everything that embodies wellness. But here I will link a video of my last wellness video where we talked about juicing. Not necessarily that juicing is some miracle thing that you should do instead of eating meals or instead of just eating fruits and vegetables, but if you're a person that doesn't really care for plant-based food, if you don't really like fruit and vegetables, but you know you need more vitamins and minerals in your diet, or if you struggle with digestive issues and you want to give your stomach a break from digesting fiber, but you still want nutrients, juicing is just a great way to get more vitamins and minerals without having to take as many pills. And while I do still take my multivitamin, I feel better, I have more energy, and I think my skin looks better when I drink juice because I try to drink a lot of things with vitamin C, and it's also a great way to improve your immune system. So go ahead and check that video out if you're interested. Today we're talking about something that I think is crucial for every person out there in the world to practice, for everybody to take a few moments out of each day to do. And I think that it is something that will truly improve your mindset, your anxieties, depressions, anything. I think it improves every aspect of your life. And that is mindfulness. Mindfulness is something that, to me, is just, it's just the icing on the cake. It is everything that sort of embodies this yogic lifestyle. It's taking time for yourself, taking a moment to unplug from technology, taking a moment to sit in stillness, to relax, and to really focus on this concentration of being in the present moment without worrying about what you're going to do afterwards, without thinking about something that happened before. And if you practice yoga, chances are that even if you don't realize it, you've practiced mindfulness before. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a very, very, very basic beginner guide to practicing mindfulness and meditation. So I am in my yoga clothes because that's what I'm always in. I just finished filming the yoga video for this week. So it is a little bit chilly in my house. Usually we keep it at about 67, 68, 69 degrees. So for me, I find it a lot easier to meditate when I am comfortable. So I have some old fuzzy socks here. They're not cute, but they keep me cozy. And I think it's really important to keep the extremities warm when you're meditating. When you feel that coldness, I feel like it's just a distraction. And I also have a hoodie here that I'm gonna just throw on because I think it's super important to not be worrying about feeling freezing when you're trying to concentrate on something else. Shout out to anybody that attended Kent State University. I did go there. I studied music a long time ago. So holler if you're a golden flash. The first basic thing about meditation is to understand that while there might be a technical way to do it based on Buddhist meditation or what have you, there is really no right or wrong way to do it. If something that I say is not comfortable, you're always welcome to do something a different way. A lot of times I find that meditating reclined on my back is a lot easier for me, because whenever I sit up and I close my eyes, I immediately start to nod off. I don't know what it is, but it is something that I just have had for the longest time. I used to fall asleep while I was driving, because like the minute I just got in my car, my heat was on and I was cozy, I would start to fall asleep. So for me, sometimes standing or sitting still makes me fall asleep. And for some reason, reclining doesn't. So if it's more comfortable for you to be on your back for this, you can do that. If it's more comfortable for you to sit in a chair with your feet on the floor, you can do that. For me, if I'm not reclining, if I want to try sitting up and meditating, I find that getting my hips above my knees helps me a lot. So I might even grab a yoga block and I might sit up on that. I have a lot of cushions here too. As you can see, I have this pillow, which I really like to sit up on as well. Sometimes I'll even put my block on that. We don't want discomfort. We don't want to feel like we're too high up or that we can't relax. We want to find a place where we can be restful but still wakeful. So once you find a place for your sits bones, or if you're reclining for your back part of your body, we want to think of relaxing the knees down if we're sitting. So finding a posture where you can just soften from the waist down, not holding tension in the feet, not holding any tension in the hips. I can find Padmasana, which is lotus pose, but I find that if I sit for too long in lotus, it hurts my knees. So I typically choose not to meditate in lotus pose unless I know it's not going to be for very long. One time I sat in lotus for a half hour and I swear my knee was messed up for a long time. So once you find that, we want to think of keeping the spine tall. So if you need pillows to sort of prop you up, I keep these cushions by me all the time, just as a way, so if I start to lean back, I feel it and I remember to sit up straight. If you need a blanket or something, you can have that next to you. I'm going to keep my blanket off of me for the sake of showing you where my hands are in relation to my knees and everything like that. Once we're here, we want to roll the shoulders down the back. We want to think of opening through the heart space. So a lot of us in today's world, in our culture, we're on our phones all the time. And what does that do? That causes us to close this space off, to hunch forward, to always be looking down at our phones. So what we want to think about doing is doing the exact opposite of that. Draw the shoulder blades open, lift through this space, lift the gaze slightly forward, and even tuck the chin back so that you're lengthening through the back of the neck, because we don't do this very often. A lot of times we're like this. We're overextending through the back of the neck. So think of drawing the chin back ever so slightly. It doesn't have to be, like you're trying to make a double chin or anything. Just draw it back ever so slightly so that the very top of your cervical spine in the neck creates this nice line all the way down to the sacrum, keeping the spine neutral. A natural curve to the spine is perfectly fine. And then the hands can rest wherever they're comfortable. Some people like to cup them in their lap. Some people like to rest their hands on their knees or their thighs. Some people like to turn their hands up. My suggestion, if you feel tired, if you feel like you need energy, turn the palms up. If you feel like you have too much energy, like you're anxious, like you need grounding, turn the palms down. Or if you practice with a mudra, you can practice with a mudra as well if one calls to you. Now from here, a lot of times we suggest closing the eyes. If that's not comfortable to you, you don't have to do it. For me, a lot of times I find when I close my eyes, I get nervous. So for a lot of meditations, I like to actually just find something that's not moving, that's not a distraction, and stare at that. The mandala on my wall that you see in all of my yoga videos, sometimes I stare at that when I'm meditating, and that's just a way to help reduce anxiety, because for some reason when I close my eyes, a lot of times I get nervous. But for today's sake, I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. And I'm actually going to ground my hands down. So that's a lot to think about, just getting into a space of finding the right posture to meditate. Once we're here, we want to start thinking about focusing on something, a home base, so to speak. For most people, that is the breath, because it's a constant, never changing thing. However, if it's hard for you to focus on the breath, you can do something else. You may hear some white noise in your house. Maybe there's a fan circulating and you want to focus on that sound. Maybe you like to play peaceful meditation music and you want to focus on that. Maybe there's a sensation in the body or a body part you like to focus on, like the hands. You can focus on the sensation of the hands grounding into your legs or knees, or if the palms are turned up, you can feel that sensation in the palm as the air runs across the palm. For most people, they like to focus on the breath, so that is where I will be focusing today. And you don't necessarily have to do anything to your breath to change it when you're practicing mindfulness. We practice breath control a lot in yoga, pranayama, but that's not always the goal here in meditation. The goal in meditation, or one of them, is to see everything for what it is in the present moment and not needing to change it. So just observing the natural rhythm of your breath. It may be slow and even. It may be rapid and uneven. It doesn't matter. You'll notice that as you start to focus on the breath, it will become slower on its own. And you may notice as you start to sit here for a while that the mind is jumping from thought to thought. You may be aware of the fact that you haven't focused on the breath much the entire time we've been sitting here, and that's okay. The more we sit, the easier it becomes for the brain to kind of switch gears and tap in to that focus. When we first start to sit in stillness, sometimes it takes a while for the nervous system to adjust. Sometimes different parts of the brain light up at different points in our practice of meditation. And for a lot of us, that means that those first few moments of sitting still are really hard. Trust the fact that as you sit, it will become easier. And the more you practice meditation, the easier it becomes. And the good news is that we don't have to sit very long to get the benefits of meditation. You can start with just 60 seconds a day, and then work your way up to 2 or 3 minutes, and then work your way up to 5 minutes. And before long, you'll be meditating for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. And just starting to notice where the mind goes when the body is still, not judging that, not becoming frustrated, just knowing that that is where your mind goes. That's the pull. That's the mind pulling you away from the present moment. Recognize that pull. Recognize what that is for you and try to notice it as soon as possible in your practice so that you can continue to come back to the breath. And when you feel ready, wiggling fingers and toes, open the eyes. So that wasn't a very long meditation practice, but for some of you, maybe that was your first experience meditating. Over time, we try to have less talking in between, but for a lot of us, we need that guidance to begin with. Eventually, you'll work your way up to just setting a timer and sitting in complete quiet for 20 to 30 minutes, maybe some of you even an hour. The more you do it, the more frequently you practice, the easier it becomes. Truly, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It has become such a crucial part of my life. Even if I only get to do a guided meditation as I'm falling asleep, something, setting aside a little bit of time each day is so crucial, so important. And it changes the way the brain responds to stress, to whatever you might be going through. If you're a person that is suffering from negative self-talk or maybe addiction or something, I'm not saying that this will cure you, but teaching the mind that has become dependent on certain behaviors or thought patterns or substances, teaching the mind how to almost rewire itself to focus on the present and not need all of those things will help you a lot more than you realize. And again, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not saying that you should just stop doing whatever you're doing to meditate, but adding mindfulness to your practice for, I would say, everybody, if not 99.9% of people, it's going to be beneficial. And I would love to do more guided meditations for you guys, or even just longer versions of what we just did, teaching you to come back to the breath, reminding you to bring yourself back. And I have a guided meditation on this channel that I did for Christmas Eve, and it was a really fun guided meditation, so check it out. I know it's past Christmas, but if you like it and you want more guided meditations, I would love to do that for you. I just need you to let me know. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday for another wellness video. Make sure that you are subscribed here if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button. You can ring the bell if you feel called to do so. The more subscribers I get, the more I can utilize YouTube to help you all. The longer the videos can be, the more that I have you guys here, and the more that I can use this without it being just me providing free services to you. If I could monetize my channel, I can make more content for you guys. So make sure that you're subscribed. Head on over to Instagram, follow me at yogi.blair, and I would be super excited to see you guys there. I do Wellness Wednesday and Skincare Saturday there, which is all explained on my Instagram. I post my schedules there for teaching. I post a little bit of inspiration here and there. So I hope to see you guys around, and I want to thank you all so much for being here, for being supportive, and please continue to do so. It means the world to me. I hope you all live happy, live free, live well. Namaste.